Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second The Coach is In session. I'm really excited for tonight. This is probably one of my favorite classes to do, and mainly because the results speak for themselves. I actually took a friend through this entire process earlier today, and her mind was just blown. She had, at least a complete full page of notes. She was flipping over and using the back side of the page. It was incredible. It opens you up for not just thinking about your dreams, but how to put the process into action to actually be able to act upon your dreams. So I'm completely proud, and I don't say this to brag, but for about the last 15 years, I have a 100% success rate with the resolutions that I make at the beginning of the year and carry them through to the end of the year. They don't always come 100% true, but I make progress on them each and every time. And that is the goal, to continually be improving upon yourself. Not competing with those around you, but improving upon yourself. So to start this process, since I love my Young Living essential oils, what I have found to be really beneficial as we start this process is to choose an essential oil that will help to stimulate the limbic center of your brain. That's the center of your brain that's triggered when you smell something. So think of anything, anytime you smell cut grass or a particular flower or baking cookies or a pie, and the memories that instills. So throughout this process, we want to choose an oil that is going to bring more of what we're looking for into our lives. So it could be balance or harmony. It could be joy. I have abundance here, which is a really good one. It could be forgiveness. There are lots of essential oils that Young Living makes that can help you in this process. I specifically use Young Living and only use Young Living essential oils because of their seed to seal guarantee. And so the first way that you're going to do this is you can add a few drops to your diffuser. The other way, which I like to do when I'm doing this process, is to put a couple of drops right in my hand, and then I rub my hands together, take a nice smell, and then I rub it along the back of my neck, over my ears, and straight down my scalp. And the reason being is because I want to instill the feeling of let my eyes, ears, and thoughts be open to this process. And so as we go through the 4 steps, you'll see that there are certain things that we're going to come back to. So you can see how using an essential oil can help to bring you back to the beginning stages and connect you throughout the course of the year as you're doing this work and as you're continuing to make progress. One last smell. It smells so good. Okay, so we're talking right now about goal achievement for a thriving 2017. And I say thriving because thriving is something that's different to each of us. What thriving is for me and what thriving is for you are probably 2 completely different things. But it's what you want to feel going into the new year and planning for the new year. So for me, thriving is having joy and peace and happiness and abundance. Hence the reason why I used abundance. To be connected with my family and my husband, and to have really good relationships with God, as well as my husband and my kids, and to continue to progress to be the best person that I can be personally. So with that in mind, let's go through to the first step in 100% goal achievement for 2017. And that first step is to dream. I asked on Facebook probably about 2 weeks ago. I was sharing the process of dreaming, and I asked those around me to share their dreams. So I have over 800 friends on Facebook, and let's just say that only, 20% see that, see a given post. It's probably less than that. Let's say 10%. So that would be just over 80 people would have seen that post. I had a lot of likes, much more than 80 likes to the post. But do you know, out of all those 80 plus likes, only one person commented with their dream? Only one person. But think about that. As kids, we dreamt constantly. We dreamt of what we wanted to be when we grew up. We dreamt of, kissing the person that we were admiring. We dreamt of achieving our goals. We dreamt of what our house would look like, what love was. We dreamt of what we would do and how our life would be when we were finally adults, right? But somewhere between being a child and becoming an adult, we're told to stop dreaming, to put everything in reality, and to think as to whether or not you can achieve those things. And it stops the dreaming process, because dreams aren't always based in reality. And any testimonial, you think of Bill Gates or Tony Robbins, Sir Richard Branson, all these people that have gone on to achieve incredible things, even Warren Buffett, they dreamt of what the possibilities could be. What did they want to do? They didn't necessarily know how to get there. That's figure outable. But they dreamt it first. It starts with a dream. So I say we should dream in 8 key areas. And these are the key areas to really living what I believe to be a balanced life. They are marriage, family, personal development and your own self-confidence and self-worth, faith, fitness, finances, work or business, and friendships. And so you want to look at those 8 key areas. And what I usually do is I have a notebook. And I will write down in my notebook those 8 key areas. And then I'll write next to that, thinking of where am I right now with that area. So for instance, if we're talking marriage, I'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that we're in the process of filing for divorce, 10 being that it is the most incredible, loving, giving, satisfying marriage I could ever have dreamt of and imagined. Where do I believe right now that my marriage is? Where am I coming at it from? And I'll give it a number along that scale. And usually I'll write down for each of those 8 key areas where I currently feel like I am at. Okay? So I have each of those areas written down, usually with spaces in between each one. So these actually may take several pages for me to do. And that's fine because I want to leave space for me to write underneath each one. And then I will write, where would I like to be? So if I'm dreaming, right, everything starts with a dream first. What is my dream marriage? What am I doing? What am I feeling? How am I acting? Where are we living? Giving it as much detail as possible, because it's in the details that you begin to feel the outcome. You begin to feel yourself living in that way. This is very similar to the visualization techniques that athletes use in order to visualize their outcome. They visualize themselves, the air around them, what it smells like, what it feels like, what they're wearing, where they are. They visualize the entire race, the entire event, and their outcome, the outcome that they desire to have. They give it as much detail as possible, because your brain you can actually trick your brain through the process of visualization into actually believing that you are currently in that state, that you are currently doing that. And it feels amazing. Now, at the beginning, you may feel as though you're kind of kidding yourself, or you may feel as though it's a facade, like you're dressing up in costume and it's not really you. That's okay. You're learning a new skill and you're learning a new habit. And at the beginning, it will feel slightly uncomfortable. That's completely fine. Continue to do the process. So for each one of those 8 key areas, I will list what I want that to look like. And it's okay if you've done this activity before. I still do it every year. Because as you grow and as you age and as your experiences change, your dream can also change. What you view as being, healthy financial status may change. What you dream as, your dream work situation or job or business may also change. So I do this process every single year with these 8 key areas. What would my dream be in marriage, family, personal development, my own self-beliefs and worth, faith, fitness, finances, work and business, and friends? And I add as much detail as possible. So then we move on to step 2. Step 2 is to brainstorm. Okay? So when you look at, you've rated all of those areas, right? Some of them are closer to the 10. Some of them are closer to the 1. And that's okay. That is where you are currently at. It's neither good nor bad. What you're going to do is decide on just 3 areas where you want to make improvements. And the reason you're only going to focus on 3 areas is because you can overload the brain. If you actually try to make improvements in all 8 areas, your brain kind of goes, well, that's just too much work. There's no way that's ever going to happen. I mean, look at how far I am. I mean, I'm a 1 in marriage. I'm, a 2 in my financial situation. I'm a 3 with my friendships. Whoopee, that's my highest number. Do you see how much work I have? I mean, I might as well just throw in the towel right now. This is never going to happen. So if you try to focus on all 8, you kind of get squirrel brain. And your brain just runs because it can't focus on that many things at the same time. And what you are trying to do with this process is bring focus to the dream so that way you are more apt every year, every month, every week, every day to get just one step closer to your dream life, your dream outcome. So you're going to look at 3 key areas, and I'm going to give you some hints as to how to decide on what 3 key areas to focus on. So the first is you choose an easy area. So it's an area where maybe you could do some improvement, but you're already doing okay. It's probably your highest score. So for instance, this past year, my easiest area was faith. It was something I was already strong in. I already had a very good foundation. I already had a very strong belief in my Lord Jesus Christ. I already knew where I stood and where I wanted to go. But there were some things that I had never done. Like I had never completely read the Bible from, the beginning all the way to the end. Never done that. I had never participated in a Bible study. Didn't know what it was like, didn't know what it was about. and thought like those would be some fun things to do. So that's exactly what I chose as my easy area. The second thing that you're going to look at is a hard area. Okay, now this one's difficult for a reason. So as you look at your 8 things, you may have several on there that are hard, that like you need to make changes in, but you're not sure how to make changes. You're afraid of how making changes will be received. You're afraid of, what if I make too many changes and like the result isn't good because it impacts so many things. So as you're looking at that hard area, take a nice deep breath. This is where your essential oil will help. Take a nice deep breath and know that it's okay to choose the thing that you're afraid to make changes in. That it's okay to choose the one where maybe you're a 1 or a 2 or a 3 and you have a huge way to go in order to get to your dream. The other thing to look at is, where does it impact several other areas? So for instance, this past year, my husband and I had a good marriage, but we were fighting a lot. There was a lot of disconnect between the two of us. And I wanted the passion back in our marriage. I wanted the connection back. I wanted to be and feel as though this was the partner that I wanted to be with for the rest of my life, that we had similar goals and desires and we were moving forward, and that I could see us 80, 90 years down the road and still together, still one unit. And that was hard, but it impacted several other things, because when I was arguing with my spouse, it also influenced our children. And when I was arguing with my spouse, I wasn't as focused on work and my business. So that would suffer. And when I was arguing with my spouse, my wanting to do other things just dropped because I felt yucky and depressed and upset. So I didn't want that to happen. So that was something that, or we would argue about finances, so working on my marriage would influence several other key areas. And by doing the hard work in that one area, I could actually lift the score in 3 or 4 other areas at the same time. So while it's hard to do that work, it's really necessary. The third is to do something that is exciting to you, something that is fun. For me, that was some personal development. That was starting to learn to read music and do more with music in my life, embracing it, being out there and telling people that, I could do this, and showing off my talents and my singing voice, and learning to read music and learning how to play some music and that sort of thing. So that was the third. The third was, for me. And that was something that was exciting. So it could be, for you, spending time with your kids. It could be, reaching out and fostering friendships with people that you hadn't had friendships with. But something that's exciting. It could be that your finances are one of the top thing, but you want to donate more time to a charity, or, establish a scholarship fund or a foundation of some sort. That might be something that's exciting. But those are the 3 ways. So an easy area, a hard area, and then an area that is exciting for you to make some changes and movement in that coming year. The next thing that you're going to do in that brainstorming process is you're going to take 10 minutes per each area. So 30 minutes in total, 10 minutes on each of those areas. And you are going to keep your pen on the page. Now, this is very important, so listen to this, okay? You are going to put your pen on the page, and you are not going to take your pen off the page until the 10 minutes in that area is up. So, for instance, you are going to literally let your brain go and brainstorm all the ways that you could make progress in that area. So for instance, going back to my heart area, marriage, right? List everything. Don't self-edit. Don't say, well, that will never happen. Don't start listing all the ways that it can't be done. Don't do that. Just keep your pen on the page, and if your mind thinketh, write it. Got it? If you think it, write it. Because you don't know what actually is possible. You don't know what's going to happen in that next year. You don't know how events occur. Just write it down. So for instance, we got 3 kids, and I put down, to work on my marriage, I'd love to do a weekend-long retreat with my husband. And in my head was going, he'd never want to do it. How would I get childcare for the kids? That would have to be really expensive. Don't even write it down on the list. But I wrote it down. Now, it didn't happen. That wasn't one of the ways that we made progress, but it went on my list. So write everything down that your brain is going to think. Don't remove the pen for the pencil, the pen from the paper, because your brain will automatically stop thinking the moment that pen comes off the paper. So you have to keep the pen on the paper and just write everything that you think is a possibility to help you to progress forward in that area. Okay, does that make sense? All right, if not, hit me on the comments. You can hit in the chat and make any comments that you want to make. Or just hit me in the comments below and I will get to your question, okay? But if something's not making sense, let me know and I will help you out. That's what I'm here for, help you. All right, step number 3 is you have to take action. Up until this point, you've been planning, you have been dreaming, you've been putting ideas down. None of that is worth anything if you don't take action on them. This is the hardest step, but I'm going to make it really easy for you, okay? Because I'm all about making it easy. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to get a planner. I don't care if you use a passion planner, if you go to Staples and get a regular planner. I don't care if you get a dream planner like this one. That's exactly what this one is. It kind of clues me to different things to think about. I don't care if you use the planner that's on your computer and you want to download a planner or use, Outlook or one of the online calendar systems. But you need to have a planner in front of you, okay? And what you're going to do with that planner is you are going to decide from your list what action will you take each week. Okay, so for each month, you're kind of list an action. Now, this is where you start realizing that some of those brainstorm ideas from the week that you did in the exercise beforehand actually have multiple steps to them. So to give you an example, one of the things that I wanted to do was to schedule a date night with my husband. I wanted us to start connecting again and have time just for ourselves. So the first thing that I did last year, like January 1st of 2016, was I asked my husband for a date in January, a date in February, and a date in March. I only did 3 months out. When we finished in March, I asked for an April, May, and June date, okay? If we went out any further than that, so many things could come up, schedules change. And then I asked him if he could commit to that date. If that was a date when we could get together and have a date night that, don't worry about anything else, I would take care of it. I got his buy-in. So find a date. Then I had to find a babysitter. and a backup babysitter. So that was another week. Then I had to put aside the money and make sure that, we had the money put aside to be able to afford the babysitter and the date night. Then I had to come up with ideas, because what had happened in the past was I had said, well, we're going to do a date night a month. But then I'd get angry with him because, well, now I've got to schedule the babysitter. And now, we're in the week and I say, what do you want to do for our date night this week? And you say, I don't know. Great. So now I got to come up with something for us to do too. So instead, this time, I just created a list of things that we could do for date night. Go and see a movie, get dinner, get coffee, check out this museum, go to see this show, and literally came up with all these various ideas. What ended up happening as the year went on was my husband said, wouldn't it be great if we went to go see these shows at our local theater? Awesome. Date night's pre-planned because tickets are already bought. Perfect. So because I did that work in advance, but you can see that was, the brainstorm idea was a monthly date night. To make that happen was actually like a 4 or 5 step process. And I broke that down into each week, making progress on that. So think of it like building a staircase. What is just the next step? What is the next thing that I'm going to do in order to get to that brainstorm idea? Knowing that if you work on the brainstorm idea, it gets you closer to the goal. See how everything comes together? Okay? You're going to focus on the action that you're taking. Okay? Somewhere in this process, you're going to be like, oh my God, this isn't working. Like, he's just not getting it. Like, I'm still scheduling all the date nights. I still have to plan everything. This is all my work. He's never said thank you. But if I had done that and thought that way in April and May and June, we wouldn't have been where we were in October. Yeah, all the way to October. Before we realized that, this was really fun and we were having a good time and we weren't talking about the kids and we were reconnecting and we were holding hands again and leaning towards each other and enjoying each other's company. So you have to focus on the action that you're taking, knowing that the action will lead you to the outcome. Focus on the action because it's the action that gets you to the outcome. That's a good one. Make sure you write that down. The action leads you to the outcome. So focus on the action. And then know that you can only control you. A lot of those things, friendships, finances, marriage, family, almost all of them, except for personal development and self and mindset, involve other people. You can't control what they do. You can't control what they think. You can't control their actions. You can only control you. You can control how you will react and how you will respond. And through this process, you will move forward and become a different person because you're focusing on the action and not the outcome. So for instance, one of the things that I wanted to do was I had always wanted to, this was that fun personal development stuff. I had always wanted to do a paint night, right? So I planned it out. I contacted a whole bunch of friends. This is when we can do it. I had 40 people who were like, yeah, I can do it. 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 The week of, I said, hey, we're going to do paint night. Who's in? Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. Everybody else. Nope. The day of paint night, I was the only one there. No one else showed up. So I went from 40 people to just me at paint night. But I am so glad I went. Number one, I got to experience paint night, and I get to have fun, and I get to make some really cool new friends and meet some really new people that now I connect with on like a weekly basis. So don't worry so much about anyone else in this process. Focus on your actions and the outcome. That's where the planner comes in. I write it in pencil because I want to know, especially like looking at I usually look at the first 3 months, and I plan out, based on my brainstorm ideas, what can I do? What's one thing I can do each week to take action and just move one step forward? Okay, you saw how small those actionable items were. So we're not talking like needing huge chunks of time, just, making a phone call to find babysitters, or brainstorming date ideas, scheduling a paint night, right? Okay, here is your last and final step. And it's a doozy, but it's to review. So once a week, I do this on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock. I've usually gotten my kids in bed, and I spend anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour looking at my week ahead. Okay? And there's a process to this, and it's kind of something that I have refined over the years. And this is the process that works because it covers all the bases, both the good, the bad, the ugly, but allows you to review and move forward versus to get caught on the hamster wheel of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and again and not seeing any progress, but you're not like changing anything to get off the hamster wheel, or getting caught in the spiral of nothing's changing. Why am I continuing to do this? In this process, you'll see the changes. You'll have written them down. You'll be able to go back and review and see the progress and the changes that you have made. So, step 4 is review, either the beginning of your week or the end of the week. You're going to need 30 minutes to an hour to do this. So set the time aside in your calendar. Set a reminder, so I like to do that alarm system on my iPhone. Set the reminder, let it go off. I now have a regular time. I do this every Sunday evening. Some people like Friday, the end of work. Whatever works for you, find what works for you. And I start first with what went well this last week. So I review the week prior, what went well. I list 5 things that went well. Okay. Then, and I kind of do this in columns. So column 1 is 5 things that went well. I then in column number 2 list 3 things that I could do better. Okay. So now I'm looking at, okay, so I know what I did well. Where could I make improvements? And there are always areas where you could improve. So 3, but only limit it to 3. You cannot go over the 5. You cannot go over the 3. Only 3. Got it? Promise me you'll keep it to 3. You don't want this to be, oh my God, I'm such a bad person. That's not the point of the exercise. The point is to see the progress that you're making and where you can make improvements, not to beat yourself up, okay? Or to throw a party because you're not yet at the goal. The party will come, okay? Then you're gonna write, so I do my column of 5 things that went well, my column of 3 things that I could do better. Underneath that, I write 5 things that I'm grateful for that occurred that last week. Okay, this allows you to see the progress and the impact that your actions are having. Okay, so this is where you see the impact that your actions are having. We didn't fight at all this week. We had a great date night. We held hands as we watched a movie. Whatever it might be, the 5 things that you're grateful for. Okay, then you're going to write underneath that 1 to 3 things that you could do next week to improve. Now, you have already thought about this. Okay, then you're going to go to your planner and write those 3 things in an actionable form. So on Monday, I need to do this. On Tuesday, I need to do that. Okay, and those 3 things are actionable items. So you can see why you don't want to go out too far from step 3 into your planner, because you're going to start to change things around based upon how well you're moving forward. So sometimes you might be leaping forward, sometimes you might be crawling forward. By doing this progress, you can continue to move forward at your pace and taking the action steps that you need to take, okay? So that's where the 1, 2, 3 things and what will you do next week, okay? So you have the 1 to 3 things. You may have some other things based upon step 2, the brainstorming, that you want to start taking action on. Add those in there for the next week. So you've got your 1 to 3 things to improve, and then the next action step items that you will take from step 2 to help you to move forward. See how everything, staircase, everything built. The last thing, and this is an important step that you will do every week. This is where your oil comes back in. You will reread your dreams under each of those 8 key areas. You're going to spend some time reflecting on what your life would look like, feel like. Sometimes I'll turn on some music so that way I can kind of drown out the noises that are around me. I'll have my oil. I may sit there, you know, if I'm in like my home and I have the diffuser running, I'll let it do that. I've done this in the car. So I'll like I have a car diffuser. I'll let the car diffuser run. Sometimes if I'm like at somebody's house or in an office, I'll close the door, do this process, and I'll just smell the cap. And close my eyes and dream about each of those 8 key areas and what my life looks like when I've achieved them. The more that you reread that and the more that you put effort into thinking about it and feeling it as though it is there, the closer you will manifest those dreams into realities. Because like we said in step 1, when you visualize it, your brain believes that you have already started to achieve that you have already achieved that dream. It doesn't know the difference between the visualization and the actuality. That's why athletes have been using visualization for years. Okay? So that's the 4-step process in achieving and really achieving your goals and your dreams year on year on year on year. And it works. It is an incredible process. You will feel invigorated by doing it. You will see your progress, and you will know what you need to do to continue to move forward. So this is a great time of year to make this happen. It's the end of 2016, the start of 2017. I will actually take some time between Christmas and New Year's to do this entire process. I give myself time, so I usually work in 30-minute to hour chunks, knowing that it takes me a good hour to do that whole step 1. Takes me about 45 minutes to do step 2. Step 3 is intensive, and step 3 it took me 3 hours the last time to do step 3. And it really just depends on your goal and what you have to achieve. And then step 4 is just a continuation. That is something that will happen week on week on week. And like I said, that takes me 30 minutes to an hour each week set aside to do that. But as a result of taking that time, for the last 15 years, I have a 100% achievement rate in achieving my dreams and achieving my goals. Not the dreams, but the goals that I've set within that year. So I hope that that was helpful to you. Comment below with any questions that you may have, or put it in the chat. I'd be happy to answer any of them. You can always reach out to me through my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/BeYourBestPersonalTraining. You can find all my contact information on my website as well. And I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to helping you thrive in 2017. Thanks all.